Well, everyone, if you're seeing this, it means I'm at the airport. So I'm not able to stream today. I'm at the airport with the kids and everything. We're going on a little family trip, a little family vacation. I'll tell you guys about all in due course. But until then, I wanted to talk about a couple little bitty things before we get the chance to stream again, because there's some interesting breaking news that we have to touch on. I mean, there's some stuff like they revealed, for example, that Reverse 1999 is going to be doing an Ezio crossover. This is apparently like a smaller like game I hadn't heard of, Reverse 1999, but apparently that's coming. It's a crossover in that game, so make of that what you will. But there's other more interesting things, for example, such as the full roadmap for Assassin's Creed being outlined by Tom Henderson over on Insider Gaming. I actually just filmed a live, or not a live channel, a main channel video on this that'll be going up probably around the same time as this one, that's a little bit more formal and direct. But basically, like, the outline that he gives is pretty much what we expected, having talked about this stuff a lot. There's things like that have been speculated, like the Netflix game being canceled. AC Jade is still expected to release. That's that like mobile game that Tencent's working on that looks insane. There's that. Invictus is coming. Obsidian is the Black Flag remake. That's coming. But I think the most interesting tidbit to all of this is that they have a plan for the next 6 years. They plan on releasing 9 Assassin's Creed games in that period. Some that are really, really big, like, you know, on the scale of Shadows, or Hexe is the other one. But as you can see, 2 RPGs, 3 different remakes, 1 smaller experience, whatever that means, 2 multiplayer games, and a mobile title. Mobile title being Jade, the 2 multiplayer games being Invictus as one, and then likely the PvE game that's basically, like, my understanding of what it's been leaked to be is basically the co-op missions in AC Unity, but as its own standalone game, or like a co-op Hitman game. That's basically what I understand it to be. And if that's what they're doing, I'm actually really interested in that, because I loved the co-op stuff in Unity. I actually ate it up a lot once I eventually tried it with my buddies. It's actually a really good time. So the multiplayer games, there's at least, I think, some potential there. But what's interesting about this is some of the little kind of off the cuff remarks that Tom Henderson in this article, which again, I'll have linked below, what he throws out, which is that, as you can see here, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake, rebuilt new Anvil engine, Obsidian is expected to launch around the same time as Invictus. Oh. And then this, Emerald, which is another live service multiplayer game, is expected to launch shortly after Stardust, within a couple months, and will be a multiplayer game. And this is, Stardust is another remake. So it seems like they're actually pairing remakes and the multiplayer stuff in the same rough release window, which is funny because I actually spoke to Ubisoft marketing employees like a year and a half ago. And I mentioned this in the main channel video too. And at the time I told them, like, because there were all these leaks and rumblings about like live service games and multiplayer games. And I was like, I swear to God, guys, if you do like a big mobile game or a big live service multiplayer, I swear to God, if you do an extraction shooter, Assassin's Creed extraction shooter, if you do something like that, and you just put it out there as like your big announcement at Ubisoft Forward in June, people are going to lose their minds and you will get flamed, okay? If you give the core fan base nothing, but then you present this multiplayer game as if that's what they should want, you're going to get that like Blizzard, you all have phones, don't you? Diablo Immortal style announcement, which I know you don't want. And so I told them back at that time, if you're going to do it, pair it with something that services the core audience. View, like, market the multiplayer game by itself, that's fine. But when you do the initial announcement and reveal to the hardcore fans that will be watching Ubisoft Forward and will be watching for that, make sure you do it while also giving them something to sink their teeth into. Announce the multiplayer game, and then right after, reveal the trailer for the Black Flag remake. Right after, reveal the trailer for the AC2 remake, or whatever Emerald or whatever Stardust ends up being. It's not clear. Because, you know, this one, Emerald, will launch shortly after Stardust. Within a couple months, it will be another multiplayer title with a 5-year plan of support if it releases to decent reception. This could be the PvE game. Again, it's possible that this is also the one that's just basically Unity or Hitman with co-op. It's not super clear. But then they even have a remake, a third remake, that's also scheduled for after the third RPG, which still has not even been assigned a developer or theme or anything. And this remake is expected to probably come out between 2030 and 2031. Like they're planning that far ahead. It's wild, but that's what I think they need to do. And I find this encouraging, frankly, that they're potentially trying to give devs more time and resources to hit their goals and targets. I like that concept. The next games that are coming, of course, Jade, Invictus, Obsidian. The Black Flag remake was kind of rumored and expected to potentially be out this fall. Jade, my understanding is it could come out literally any day now. It was apparently very, very, very polished and far along when they did the playtests last year, and they're just kind of sitting on it. So we'll see what happens there. Who knows when we get Jade, but it should be like any day now. We could just get a surprise announcement for that. Invictus, I've heard like conflicting things. Some reporting from like Tom Henderson, I think he was saying he expected Invictus to be out by the end of this year. And then other reporting from like lesser known leakers and stuff were saying that Invictus is pretty far out. I don't know what to make of that, but if they're targeting them for a similar release window, that kind of conflicts there. I'm not sure which would come first or what the likely outcome is, but I guess we'll know. There's still, as of the time I'm recording this, there's no confirmation or anything that Ubisoft is doing a Ubisoft Forward event this year, which they typically do. And I mean, I'm not like trying to be coy. Like I haven't even received an invitation or a rumbling about it. Last year, by this point in like the calendar, we already like knew Ubisoft Forward was happening. We already knew the times. We knew what games would be there. Like we already knew what was happening. And at this point, I at least I can say I have heard nothing. I don't, as far as I know, there is no Ubisoft Forward happening this year, which could mean that they're just going to save the money and instead they're going to do just like a shadow drop of the Black Flag remake after seeing how well Oblivion did, like doing that. And that I think honestly is a good way to do it. I would encourage them to do that. As much as I like going to like big fancy events where I get to play the game early, I think the best thing for the Black Flag remake is to just do a shadow drop, put it in people's hands and let the game speak for itself. I think that's the best way to do it. And maybe they're planning on doing something similar with Invictus where they just shadow drop it next to the Black Flag remake. They're like, hey, here's Black Flag. Also, boom, here's a multiplayer game for you to enjoy. I think that's a solid way to do it, because then you bypass all of the drama around like announcing a multiplayer game nobody asked for and all of that. Hexe, again, like this is the one that's really interesting to me. Hexe is like, it's very weird. Like it's very, very weird, but it's interesting. And I think it's weird in a good way. You know, previous reporting from Insider Gaming, actually, this is from April of last year. So this is fairly old. But as you can see, the upcoming game developed by Ubisoft Montreal, the same guys that did Valhalla, that did Origins and Black Flag, they're focusing heavily on witchcraft. It's rumored to be happening sometime in 16th century Holy Roman Empire period. Potentially in Germany is kind of the expectation. Who knows, maybe you run into like an old Martin Luther. You never know. Martin Luther's an assassin. Yeah. You never know. Hexe follows a more linear approach like old AC games compared to the likes of Valhalla or Odyssey. This is something we've heard reported on multiple times since this point, where it seems like they actually are going more linear. And I don't know about you guys, I like that. I'm like, please, like a higher production value linear game. Like I'm here for that. Okay. So I'm down for that. They also have discussed how it's going to have like a lot of inspiration taken from the Jack the Ripper DLC for AC Syndicate. And if you didn't play that, totally fine. I get you. I feel you. Not, you know, a ton of people did, I'm sure, but AC Syndicate, Jack the Ripper here. This is from MK Ice and Fire. And as you can see, like they had these different like little missions where it's kind of like a detective mode and you're going through the crime scenes, but they also had this cool like fear-based mode as well and system in the game that was very, very interesting and unique. And it just was a very, very unique game, like expansion, very, very different from anything they've done before. But apparently this is the expansion they're taking a ton of inspiration from for AC Hexe, which again, I'm just intrigued by that. I'm interested. Very different, and I'm open to it. So Hexe is the one I'm most, I think, intrigued by. The Black Flag remake, I'll say I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic. But I think that the Oblivion remake like really raised the bar. I think people now have high expectations, as they probably should if you're going to charge for it. But yeah, Hexe is the one that I find particularly intriguing intriguing. But with all of this stuff, I mean, there's not a whole lot in here that's crazy or unknown previously. It just seems like a lot more stuff is locked in. The Netflix game is likely canceled. There's another multiplayer game that likely is canceled. Other than that, everything is pretty much what we expected. Scarlet is the next big RPG after Shadows and release after Hexe support ends. Scarlet, this should land right around the turn of the console generation, like late 2027 into 2028, if you follow these timelines roughly. And that could mean that it's a cross-generational game, kind of like Valhalla was, where it like straddles that line and you get, you know, both install bases. But it could also just be like fully push it to the limits and go full next gen on it, because this is the game that potentially it could be codenamed Nebula, which has previously been leaked and discussed. And this is the game that's expected to have 3 different settings: in India, the Mediterranean, and the Aztec Empire. And who knows what that looks like and how that plays out. If that just means one character traveling to different places, like, we don't know. But it could also mean that they just really want to push the tech, and maybe they have to wait till next gen consoles are out to do that. Who knows? But at the very least, there's a lot happening, and Ubisoft is just putting all the eggs into the AC basket, as I think they probably should. They don't have a lot of franchises that make money. As crazy as that is, to have close to 20,000 employees, they don't actually have a lot of money-making IP. They have Far Cry, Rainbow, and Assassin's Creed. Like, yeah, you can throw out other more niche, like smaller things. They've got like, oh, well, they did Prince of Persia. Oh, they've got Beyond Good and Evil. Like, yes, they do have those, but those are not the reliable moneymakers anywhere near on the scale as these other games are. So they're putting the eggs in this basket. They've got a 6-year plan, 9 games in that period. It's a lot, but if you know, they actually execute on these well, and if the games are actually, you know, solid, polished, and give the core fan base something to sink their teeth into, I think, you know, AC fans could be eating really, really well through the rest of this console generation and into the next one. And I'm excited to see how it plays out, because Shadows, I think, showed a solid step or two in the right direction. Wasn't my favorite game of the recent releases or anything, but I thought it was a step in the right direction. It was kind of the anti-Valhalla, which is what I was hoping that it would be. And while there's still plenty of stuff I would change or add or shift or rewrite, I do think that it was a step in the right direction. And I'm hopeful that they continue taking the right steps. But time will tell. Let me know what you think of all of this in the comment section below as well. I'll be looking at those just to see if you guys have anything, you know, really, really novel or crazy. And of course, like, you never know who's reading the comments in these videos. That's what I've told you guys before. I know for a fact that there are some people that work pretty high up within Ubisoft who have watched our videos on these things because they mentioned them when I met those people, which was awkward. Nothing's weirder than meeting like a high-level executive or like game director or something. And like, yeah, I saw your video on blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh. And you're like, did I crack any jokes? Did I say anything stupid in that video? Not that I really care. I mean, whatever, but it is always like a little jarring and funny. So just remember, you never know who's watching. You never know who's reading through those comments. So leave your feedback, leave your thoughts down below. Because again, you never know who might be seeing it. You might be talking directly to like the game director of one of these projects. You just never know. So put your feedback down below, and who knows, you might change the world or not. Maybe it's not read by anybody. You never know, but at least it's worth a shot.